Peace and love, family. Welcome to U.S. Political Prisoners and You on brought to you by the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition on the platform Black Power Media. Please subscribe, like, make sure you support the Black Power Media. It's our platform, it's our outlet, and it is where we get to talk about who we are and what we need to do to change our social conditions. Today is March 18th, which is the 18th day of Women's History Month. We're recognizing the contributions of our sisters. You know, this particular episode, we're going to be talking about uh, Eddie Ellis, Eddie Kabaka Ellis, but we're going to deal with him from the perspective of how his work relates or as actually is a manifestation of Safiya Bukhari's work, right? Because they was all serious revolutionaries. They was all serious organizers. And I think it's very important that when we study the history of our women, we have to relate that to the work that was done after them and the work that continues to be done today. So with that being said, I'm going to reintroduce my brothers from Holla, how our lives all linked together. I got my brother Siri and then my brother Corey. So brothers, please introduce yourself and you know, our platform is your platform because we all in this together.
Right on, right on. You hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, brother.
Yeah, so peace, resurrect, free the land, free them all. Thank you, Brother Frank, for having us on. And you know, shout out to, you know, those who are watching to like and subscribe and appreciate to this continuing work to talk about our legacy of freedom fighters and how to free our political prisoners and prisoners of war. And yeah, I'll pass to Brother Corey just to check in as well.
Peace, free the land, free all our political prisoners. Peace, everybody tuning in. Thanks, Brother Frank, Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, Black Power Media for having us. We are excited and humbled to be talking about our ancestors of the Black Liberation Movement. So let's get it popping, man. Shout out to Safiya Bukhari and Baba Eddie Kabaka Ellis.
Yeah, so the way I like to have these dialogues because I want to make sure that it's educational, make sure that, there's a conversation that raises our consciousness and take it beyond that, right? Because I think the sharpest expression of our consciousness is the work that we actually are committed to doing. And that's why we always say, write to a political prisoner, build that relationship, make sure that when you write, you internalize those writings so that that relationship can be stronger. So my first question to any one of you, and eventually the both of you, I would like to hear answer from is, who is Eddie Kabaka Ellis, and how does his work relate to the works of Safiya Bukhari?
Peace. Shout out to Holla, who are babies of the 1970 prison rights movement, the new prison movement. Eddie is a lot to define him in this quick go around, but African man, African brother from Jamaica. Family grew up in Harlem. Family was connected to the Garveys, the Garveyites, long Black tradition in Harlem. Grew up as a person with his brother, his mother, his father. So grew up, as a family person, understanding family values. Was a prolific writer, educator, thinker, scholar. As a young age, started letting his pen loose on the system, dropping analysis. Check out, some of his work in the Liberator magazine. And as he grew as a family person, as a prolific organizer in Harlem, he became, a young person growing into the Black Liberation Movement, particularly in the early 60s, mid 60s, late 70s. He joined the Black Panther Party, one of the first formations in New York. I saved some for Jasiri, so I stopped on some of that there on that part. He did a lot of work inside of prison. I saved some of that for Jasiri as well, particularly starting the Greenhaven think tank and work in prison that saved a lot of men and a lot of women lives. He's one of our four mothers and forefathers of the movement outside of prison. Some people call it abolition, some people call it reform, but a giant with creating policies, deconstructing policies, creating programs from community-specific realities. And he's the elder of Holla. He's the ancestor of Holla. You know, our elders were students of him. We were all, you know, from the same organization, Resurrection Study Group, the Center for New Leadership, and Holla is another version of that. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to be celebrating on March 21st, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We having a Eddie Ellis honoring the ancestors legacy tour at 151st Street, Harlem River Housing. And we're going to celebrate the works of Eddie. I'll leave it right there to Pastor Siri. Let him get some of that too.
Yes. So more on, you know, about Eddie Ellis, who, as Corey was saying, you know, as a, you know, young person coming up, learning and becoming conscious, politically conscious, right, and getting involved in the Black Liberation Movement through RAM, the Revolutionary Action Movement, as well as being one of the folks who formed or supported in forming the New York City Black Panther Party chapter, specifically in Harlem. And, you know, as many of our freedom fighters who were attacked by COINTELPRO, Eddie Ellis was framed for a murder that he didn't do. And, you know, while within prison, you know, he done a lot of work organizing brothers and sisters, right? Developing and transforming brothers and sisters who was coming on the inside. And they developed a critical framework called the non-traditional approach to criminal and social justice, which is a analysis of the war that is happening on African, Black, and Brown people, not just in New York City, but in America, but also globally, right? It's an Afrocentric framework that communicates, you know, how is it that, you know, we are targeted in these various social systems, from public safety all the way to housing, right? Where we are, you know, are going through genocide. And so that research, you know, is, you know, one of the, I would say, staples in the, you know, movement to end mass incarceration that Eddie Ellis was a part of.
Before I go to my next question, I want to go into a quote by Safiya Bukhari, because I think this quote really breaks down both of their lives, because she says that I have come to realize that picking up the gun is the easy part. The difficult part is the day-to-day organizing, educating, and showing the people by example what needs to be done to create a new society. So I think that really lets you know Sophia's position in terms of organizing, as well as Eddie's position in terms of organizing, because I think that is very important that we make those connections with our sisters and our brothers, and how one person does a certain type of work, another person does a certain type of work, and then another generation learns from the past what they need to do during their time.
I say.
And my second question was like, are their body of work similar? If so, how?
I don't think we answered the second part of the question about bringing in mama ancestor Safiya Bukhari. But yeah, to your point, shout out to Mama Safiya Bukhari. You know, I never met her personally. I learned a lot about her from her comrades. And her comrades, like Eddie Ellis, her comrades respect her. and love her, respects her work. Um, and you could tell when you are dope organizers when your comrades speak really high of you. So Safiya Bukhari is somebody that grew up in the Bronx, New York. And as she was in college, from what I studied and read, she, the Black Panthers was everywhere, and she came in contact with the Black Panthers and the free breakfast program, and her college crew, her sorority, they started volunteering with the Black Panther Party. But besides that, when she was downtown on 42nd Street, some another Black Panther Party group was passing out the newspaper, and she seen the Black Panther Party being harassed, right, by police. And like a concerned citizen of Black people, she showed up and asked police what was going on. They arrested her, and from that interaction, she called her moms and told her moms that she ain't never letting herself be treated like a second class citizen, and that she want to join a movement for Black liberation. And right then, she joined the Black Panther Party. This was like 1969. Shortly after that, this is also when the Black Panther Party was being heavily attacked by internal and external structures. Right, a lot of struggles was going on. And she talked about how not shortly after that, she joined the Black Liberation Army in 1971. Um, she and Eddie, are really important organizers, but they come from important movements as well. The Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, the Republic of New Africa, right? These formations and their ideology and their analysis was working to get Black liberation and develop organizers and families to get Black liberation in multiple ways, trying to fight this war, right? Serious ideology struggles, work built with other comrades, and they were seen as followers and leaders within that movement, which is really important. Safiya Bukhari was a general, a theorist, like you said, an organizer. She was a political prisoner. She talks about being in prison, creating programs for women who are being impacted by losing their children, and how she talked about women not having legal support while she was a political prisoner, and how she developed programs for women in prison. Right, this is that everyday working. She was part of starting New York Jericho, New York Mamiya campaign to free other political prisoner. Her and Eddie Ellis, while they both was political prisoners, they did extremely important work to free political prisoners, right? Build campaigns, build movements, build programs, build ideology. So shout out to Mama Safiya Bukhari. I see they works overlap in those ways that they comrades love them, that they're not individuals. They joined important movements for Black people, right? Movements that we all could still learn from and think about joining. And with that, I'll pass it to Jasiri.
No, and just to not take too much time on this question, because Corey has expressed a lot, and we could always share more. I see the connection and relationship. Me specifically. I don't know if Safiya, and Eddie like had some messages between each other and such, but I definitely would believe that they knew of each other. Definitely. And just thinking about the type of care uh, and love for our people that they both had, right? Eddie Ellis, the work that that he and many brothers and sisters were doing inside of prison, making programs, was transforming and politicizing and folks, and giving them that power of self-determination, that power of going back to our communities and being assets to our communities, and helping helping the fight for freedom through uh, through being an asset within your community. And Mama Safiya Bukhari doing the same, in the sense of never forgetting about our political prisoners, right? She definitely talked about how, many folks know about Asada, but there's many other political prisoners, prisoners of war that folks do not know. And that is also a part of the counterinsurgency COINTELPRO programs where, other folks are highly labeled more than others, and folks get isolated, and we forget about them, and that's a part of this imperialist system. So I see both their works are highly important on remembering our legacy, remembering who we are, and knowing that we have the responsibility of freeing our people. Yeah, I share.
One
Yeah,
more thing too, man.
go ahead,
Both of
brother.
them also as political prisoners, always working about freedom, try to escape while they was incarcerated, and come from a fugitive and black liberation pedagogy of always trying to escape imperialism, always trying to dismantle imperialism. Another thing I want to flag is Baba Herman Ferguson, who was connected to both of them as an elder, connected to Malcolm X in the early 60s, and a leader with CORE, and also in the education, the community control takeover movement, and also as a leader of the Republic of New Africa, and a person who started the Malcolm X commemoration committee. Safiya Bukhari and Eddie Ellis was also connected to that work there, and they overlap, through the long legacy that's connected to Baba Herman Ferguson as well. Ashe.
Yes. Thank you for both of y'all breaking that down, because I think that that's very important that we're able to connect the two. In his book, We Want Freedom, Mumia Abu Jamal writes about Safiya Bukhari. He says that former Black Panther Safiya A. Bukhari had a sterling career, not only in the party, but in the party's military successor, the BLA. While criticizing men who brought their sexist attitude into the organization, he also is critical of those women who utilize their femininity as a way to achieve rank and stature within the party. I think that when you hear her break down like that, uh, when he breaks down who she was, and the fact that she just didn't turn away from certain things, her ability to try to get the best out of everybody lets you know her love for her people. Like, she wanted the best for her people. In order to get that, you have to demand the best from yourself and the best from the people around you. My next question is, in 2026, how do we appropriately honor them both beyond just honorable mentions, right? It's Women's History Month. We get into knowing things, and a lot of times having answers for questions. But I think that the sharpest expression is actually being in the street and organizing. What's y'all view, or how would you answer that? Either one.
No, definitely. I think more than just honorable mention is to continue their works. Continue their works, build on top of their works, right? Freeing political prisoners, prisoners of war, right? Taking down imperialism, supporting the work that Jericho, New York City Jericho movement is doing, right? Supporting the work of getting the word out there about the non-traditional approach to criminal social justice, that we're also transforming human and healing justice, that Hala is pushing and many other folks are doing. So I think continuing the work of our ancestors and elders are very important, not just mentioning them, not just having them on your altar, but knowing that, to embody our ancestors and know that we are our ancestors, we must continue that work of our ancestors. Ashe.
Thank you.
Hey, Resurrect, man. I echo what your series said. They all got a lot of work that they written, books about them. And when you study their works and study their elders, they were people that put in work. So one way to honor them is to continue doing the works that they were doing around education, community control over education, work around educating younger generations about the reality of Black people in the world, in America, and doing that as a daily practice, sacrificing their family and their personal lives, to fight against this American government and work towards freedom for Black people. Um, Doing work for political prisoners. These are people. Eddie Ellis was a political prisoner in 1969. Baba Jamil Alameen, who was formerly known as H. Rap Brown, was somebody organizing for Eddie Ellis in 1969 to free Eddie, right? And Eddie was one of the people inside of prison, helping building the inner workings of our political prisoner movement in the late 60s, early 70s, right? So that the work that we stand on now has that kind of foundation on it. And it's up to us to move the science to the next level, to build on top of the mound. um, Safiya was somebody that was loved by her comrades. You know, when you do work for the people, right, and you do work daily for the people, the way to continue her work is that, you know, you should love your comrades. Your comrades should love you. You should join movements and ideological formations, organizations that give you a chance to develop and give you a chance to be accountable and give you a chance to build that love. Um, and they always trying to free the land. You know, they was trying to free our land. You know, free the land in the South. You know, free the land for Black people. And we got to continue doing the work. Like Malcolm said, liberation is based on land, right? So we got to continue doing work to free the land.
Sorry, I was having a little technical difficulties. Y'all hear me though, right?
Yes.
Yes. So appreciate both of y'all contribution. You know, y'all have something very important and powerful that's coming up. March 19th, right? That's tomorrow. So please explain to the viewers what that's about and why now and how they're going to benefit from that work.
So yes, we have two engagements actually this week. We have Protecting Community Wisdom, March 19th, 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 1765 Madison Avenue, which is, you know, a conversation related to uh, uh, co-optation and counterinsurgency in our movement, right, at different aspects in different various places, right? And so people are going to be having conversations to how they see co-optation counterinsurgency within their works, right, and how they're combating that type of counterinsurgency, while Hala, you know, talks about how we're combating the co-optation of the non-traditional approach to criminal and social justice, which Eddie Ellis was one of the developers of, and how restorative justice is, you know, being used as an alternative model to criminal punishment. However, that you know, it has co-opted from the NTA and is actually a Eurocentric framework. While also on the 21st, Saturday the 21st, looking on the time, Saturday the 21st, we are having a legacy tour to honor Eddie Ellis, right, on 151st Street, to talk about his legacy, to you know, honor the work that he's done. That would be at 1 p.m. if I'm mistaken. 1 p.m. 151st Street in Harlem. On Harlem River Housing, 151st Street in Adam Clayton Powell. Right, so 151st Street, Adam Clayton Powell will be honoring Eddie Ellis, having a legacy tour where we'll be, you know, having community come out to, you know, speak about the legacy work that Eddie has did, you know, before his before being targeted by COINTELPRO, right, and the work he did when he was imprisoned, as well as the work he did when he was freed out of prison, and continued the work of liberation.
Wow, that's very important that our work goes beyond just sharing and posting on social media, or even with me with the podcast, right? Posting a podcast. We have to go beyond that. We have to talk to the community. We have to let the community know their history of resistance. I think that inspires them to continue to fight and remain strong. Eddie Ellis and Safiya Bukhari, they showed us that, and they was very resilient with their work. Their work obviously was an expression of their love. Hala has been doing the work for a number of years, and I am inspired by what you do, the sacrifices and commitment that you make. I know we have about 4 more minutes, and I just want to take this time to get into a personal reflection, and I'll initiate this idea, this thought, and then I'll let you both go. And when I reflect on Safiya Bukhari and I reflect on Eddie Ellis, based on what you just told me, I look at myself and I look at my life and I said, what contribution do I want to make to our liberation struggle? If I am serious about it, one of the things that I'm motivated to do is to fight for our political prisoners, because I can only imagine how it is sitting in a prison cell and thinking that people forgot about you. So to hear the work of Eddie Ellis, to hear the work of Safiya Bukhari, it lets me know that this work is ongoing. You have to continue to do it, because there are babies being raised and they're growing up, and they're eventually going to be adults that have to make decisions in life, and they are our future. They are future leaders, and what we teach them now is going to determine their position in life. So as you think about Eddie Ellis and you think about Safiya Bukhari, what comes to mind with you, my brother?
Corey, do you want to go first? If not, I could jump in. Yes. So what comes to mind, as you said, with what we shared about Mama Safiya Bukhari and Baba Eddie Ellis, and what we can give back to the liberation struggle, I definitely think about my personal transformation, right? Breaking the shackles of colonialism, capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy, right? Anti-blackness. And I believe that was the work that they were doing deeply within, uh, uh, right? As you said, talking about that we need the best of our people, the best, we need to be the best so we could expect folks to be the best. And that means to work on transformation. And that means self-love, right? Love for our community, love for our people. Um, and just thinking about the work that Hala is doing in which is healing centered youth development, right? Giving space for youth within an African rites of passage setting where they can be empowered to learn about culture, learn about family, and transform, right? And in that transformation, they become their own liberators and want to liberate as well, liberate others, liberate their families and their communities.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the work that you are doing. Before you know it, the summer's going to be here, and usually in our community is an increase for some reason in violence in our community. So the work that you and the rest of Hala is doing is very beneficial, because you're doing it right now, right? We're approaching the end of March, and then we have April, May, and before you know it, the summer's here. So now we put these ideas in our community. We start to let our community know, the youth in our community know, that there's options in terms of certain ideas that they might want to gravitate towards. And we can't forget about the sacrifices of our political prisoners. Our political prisoners are expressions of serious discipline, of serious focus, and serious love. And I think that when we realize that we are inspired and we are where we are because of the sacrifices of others, then we can appreciate them a whole lot more. And we can let them know that they're not forgotten. We can encourage others to write to them. We could write to them ourselves, and we could build that strong and powerful relationship. Brother, you got any closing words before I end this episode, brother?
I definitely do. Madasi, Brother Frank, thank you for having us. Thank you to Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition and our movement. Thank you, to the folks who are watching, who, continue to support this work here, to support political prisoners and prisoners of war. And yeah, please, reach out to us, follow us on How Our Lives Link All Together on IG and Facebook, and our website, healwithholla.com.
All right. What's the call?
Free them all. Don't let political prisoners die in prison. Free the land.
Absolutely.